What if our world accidentally opened a portal to a place where evolution favors monsters, where ancient weapons outperform modern guns, and where crossing over is easy, but coming back alive is the ultimate hunt? The story does not begin on Earth. It begins in a world that looks like hell itself. An endless desert stretches beneath a burning sky, and across this sea of sand sails something impossible. A massive armored ship gliding over dunes as if they were water. Enormous sails catch the wind, dragging the vessel forward through the wasteland. On board, hardened warriors scan the horizon with grim focus. Ahead of them rises a colossal skeletal tower, piercing the clouds like the remains of a dead god. They know what it is: a gateway, a passage to another world. But this land is not empty, it is alive, and it hunts. Without warning, the sand explodes. A monstrous beast erupts from the sand, slamming into the ship. In the chaos, one of the warriors is thrown overboard, left for dead in the dunes as the ship sails on, damaged but escaping. Meanwhile, in our world, a United Nations military team is on a mission in a vast desert. Led by Captain Natalie Artemis, they are searching for another squad, call sign Team Alpha, which vanished without a trace in the same region. Natalie and her team push deeper into the uncharted dunes. They find strange, gigantic bones half buried in the sand and ancient stone monoliths covered in indecipherable carvings. It's an archaeological impossibility. Before they can process this, a massive, unnatural storm appears on the horizon. It races towards them with impossible speed. Captain Artemis orders her convoy to retreat, but it's too late. The violent, electric storm engulfs them. Their vehicles are lifted and thrown like toys. When the chaos subsides and the dust settles, Natalie and her surviving soldiers crawl from the wreckage. They are no longer in their world. The air feels strange. They soon find the fate of the missing Team Alpha. Their vehicles and bodies are scattered, all killed. But there are no signs of a conventional battle. It's as if they were hunted. Confused and terrified, the survivors regroup in their remaining vehicles and drive forward, desperate for answers. They find themselves driving through a narrow canyon made of what looks like the gigantic fossilized ribs of an impossible creature. Watching them from a high cliff is the warrior who was thrown from the sandship earlier. He sees the strange metal vehicles entering the treacherous pass and fires a warning shot with his bow. An arrow thudding into the bones ahead of them. Natalie understands the danger signal and orders her team to back out, but it's already too late. The ground beneath them erupts. A gargantuan worm-like monster, a Diablos, bursts from the sand, attacking the convoy. It destroys vehicles and kills several soldiers in seconds. Just when all seems lost, the lone warrior intervenes. He leaps into the fray, using specialized arrows to fight the creature, drawing its attention and allowing Natalie and a few others to scramble up the rocky cliffs to relative safety. He fights to save them. Natalie and her remaining soldiers reach the cliff cave, where Diablos cannot reach. They are finally safe and decide to rest the night in that cave. But their relief is short-lived. The scent of their blood has attracted something else. From the shadows of a cave, a new horror emerges. A massive, skittering creature, a spider-like 𝗟𝗶𝗀𝗲. It strikes with lightning speed, catching the exhausted soldiers off guard. It launches a surprise attack, its stinger striking Captain Natalie Artemis and injecting a powerful, paralyzing venom. She collapses, unconscious. Her surviving soldiers, believing her dead and completely overwhelmed, try to flee, but they are swiftly hunted down and killed by other creatures in the canyon. Natalie, however, is not dead. The venom only immobilized her. She regains consciousness to find herself trapped in a sticky web. Deep within the monster's lair, a cavern littered with the skeletal remains of its prey and pulsing with its eggs. To her horror, she also finds one of her soldiers alive, but he is severely wounded and succumbing to the spider's poison. He urges her to escape without him. But the 𝗟𝗶𝗲𝗀 returns, descending from the cavern ceiling. It captures Natalie in its mandibles and swallows her whole, transporting her to a lower chamber in its stomach. Using her combat knife, Natalie cuts her way out from inside the monstrous creature. She fights her way back through the nest, using a flare she still carries. As the spider attacks again, she ignites the flare and shoves it into the creature's maw, setting it on fire from the inside. In the ensuing chaos, she scrambles up through the cavern and finally bursts out onto the sun-baked desert surface. The wounded, burning 𝗟𝗶𝗀𝗲 tries to pursue her, but it recoils from the intense sunlight, unable to tolerate it. Natalie realizes a critical weakness. These subterranean monsters are vulnerable to direct sun. Alone, stranded and devastated, Natalie climbs to the highest dune she can find. She looks out in every direction and sees nothing but an endless, lifeless desert. In a fit of despair and rage, she picks up a rock and hurls it down the dune. The impact creates a small vibration in the sand. Immediately, the massive Diablos, the sandworm monster, erupts from the ground exactly where the rock landed. She now understands the second rule of this world. The monsters hunt by sensing the slightest movement in the sand. With no other option, Natalie begins a desperate trek across the dunes. She eventually stumbles upon the wreck of the giant sand ships. Exhausted, dehydrated, and starving, she boards it, hoping to find supplies. As she looks for food and, more importantly, water, she is ambushed. It is the hunter, the same warrior who saved her from the Diablos. He attacks her without hesitation. He sees her as an intruder, a threat from the other world that brings danger. A fierce, brutal hand-to-hand fight erupts between the two highly skilled fighters. Natalie holds her own with her modern military training, but the hunter's experience in this harsh world and his superior strength eventually overpower her. He subdues her and takes her as his prisoner. He leads her to his solitary sanctuary, a hidden cave fortress carved into a massive rock formation. This place, he shows her, is fortified and secure, a rare safe haven from the monsters that rule both day and night in the desert. He leaves her there, possibly to check the perimeter or retrieve supplies. But Natalie Artemis is no ordinary prisoner. Using her skills, she escapes her bonds and turns the tables on him. When the hunter returns, she ambushes him from behind and manages to subdue him, making him her captive instead. Yet, even as captor and prisoner, their conflict continues. They fight again, a brutal struggle that spills out of the cave and onto a dangerous rocky ledge high above the desert. During this fight, the hunter's footing gives way. He slips and begins to fall into a deep, dark pit, the very same lair of the 𝗟𝗃𝗲 spider monster. As he dangles over the edge, about to fall to his death, Natalie has a sudden realization. They are not each other's enemy. Their real enemy is this world and its creatures. In a split-second decision, she chooses to save him. She reaches out, grabs his arm, and pulls him back to safety. This act of mercy changes everything. She unties his hands, and in a gesture of peace, she offers him a piece of her world, a chocolate energy bar. The hunter has never tasted anything like it. This simple sharing of food breaks the barrier between them. They form a fragile alliance, communicating through gestures and broken words since they do not speak the same language. They agree to help each other get home. The hunter points to the distant skeletal tower on the horizon. He explains that it is the gateway. If they can reach it, they might find a way back to their respective worlds. Natalie, in turn, points to a location in the desert and explains through gestures that her armored vehicle is out there. Inside it are heavy weapons, machine guns and explosives that could help them fight the monsters. The hunter scoffs. He explains that her weapons are useless against the beasts of this world. He has a better plan. He tells her that the poison from the 𝗟𝗃𝗲𝗀's stinger is potent enough to kill even the massive Diablos, the sandworm. But first, they need to harvest it. That night, they set a trap. Natalie acts as bait, standing in the open to lure the 𝗟𝗃𝗲𝗀 out of its lair. As the giant spider charges, the hunter, lying in wait, springs a clever trap, ensnaring it. In a coordinated attack, they manage to kill the creature. The hunter carefully extracts its venomous stinger. Back at the cave, the hunter works through the night, using his skills to craft a new weapon, a large, specialized arrow tipped with the 𝗟𝗃𝗲𝗀's venom. He also begins to train Natalie, teaching her the basics of using his bow and other primitive but effective weapons, forging them into a team. At first light, they put their plan into action. They go out into the desert and deliberately create vibrations to lure the Diablos to the surface. The monster erupts from the sand, enraged. The battle is epic and desperate. The hunter fires his poisoned arrow, striking the Diablos directly in its eye. Natalie opens fire with her sidearm, emptying clip after clip into the beast. She even uses a grenade, blasting its armored hide. But the Diablos is incredibly resilient. It shakes off the attacks, wounded but far from dead. It retaliates with terrifying force. Seeing the hunter's poisoned arrow wasn't enough. Natalie knows they need a killing blow. The hunter, seizing a moment of opportunity, leaps onto the back of the thrashing Diablos. He climbs towards its head, a massive great sword in his hands, aiming to drive it down into the beast's brain. But before he can strike, the Diablos violently shakes him off, sending him crashing to the ground, unconscious and helpless. Now, it's all up to Natalie. Drawing on her training and sheer desperation, she charges at the wounded monster, climbs its massive form, and with a final, powerful battle cry, she plunges the enormous blade deep into its head. The Diablos lets out a last roar and finally collapses, dead. Natalie rushes to the hunter's side. He is alive but badly injured. She constructs a makeshift sled and begins the arduous task of dragging him across the burning desert. During the trek, the hunter regains consciousness. Together, they continue their journey, pushing beyond the endless dunes. They finally reach the edge of the desert and stumble into a breathtaking oasis, a lush green land with fresh water and abundant food. This, the hunter communicates, is his home. He belongs to a group of survivors who live here. That night, as they rest, their peace is shattered. A new, even greater threat arrives. A fire-breathing dragon, a Rathalos, swoops down from the sky. Its arrival causes a stampede of local creatures. Just as the Rathalos is about to attack Natalie and the hunter, a group of warriors intervenes. They are the hunter's people, arriving just in time to drive the dragon away with a coordinated assault. Their leader is a man known as the Admiral. He immediately recognizes that Natalie is not from their world. Wary of outsiders, he orders her taken captive. But Natalie is a skilled soldier. She quickly escapes her bonds. However, she doesn't run. Instead, she confronts the Admiral directly. To her shock, he speaks to her in perfect English. He explains that the hunter vouched for her, telling him she is a good person and not to be feared. Natalie is stunned and asks how he knows her language. The Admiral reveals a terrifying truth. She is not the first to cross over from Earth. His people, an ancient and advanced civilization, once built the gateway between the worlds to travel and explore. But their experiments went too far, unleashing the monsters and leading to their own downfall. The gateway, however, the tower, remains active. He points to the colossal tower in the distance. He explains that his group lives there, and it is the source of the portal. Their new mission is not to use it, but to destroy it permanently. They want to seal the passage forever to prevent more humans from crossing into this deadly world and, more importantly, to stop the monsters from ever finding their way to Earth. They attempted this mission before but failed, and the hunter was separated from them during that failure. Now, with the hunter returned and Natalie's skills added to their group, the Admiral believes they have a new chance. The very next morning, the entire team, Natalie, the hunter, the Admiral, and his seasoned warriors, set out together towards the tower for one final, desperate mission. The team makes the perilous journey and finally reaches the base of the colossal, ancient tower. Natalie immediately recognizes the same kind of mysterious stone monolith she saw in her own desert, covered in the same unreadable script. The area around the tower is charged with wild, crackling energy, creating a localized storm with rain and powerful winds. And then, their greatest obstacle arrives. The fire-breathing dragon, the Rathalos, appears, drawn to the tower's energy. The Admiral quickly explains their only chance. To kill it, they must strike when it is vulnerable. In the brief moments when it is about to breathe fire, its throat is exposed and unprotected. A massive battle erupts at the foot of the gateway. The team fights valiantly, but the Rathalos is a force of nature. As it unleashes torrents of flame, the chaotic energy it releases interacts with the tower. The storm intensifies, mirroring the exact conditions of the electrical storm that first brought Natalie to this world. The portal between dimensions begins to tear open again. Natalie finds herself cornered on a high ledge by the Rathalos. With nowhere to run, she makes a desperate choice. She leaps off the cliff, not to her death, but into the heart of the newly formed storm portal. She is violently pulled through the dimensional rift. She crash lands back in her own world, in the same desert where her journey began. A military search and rescue team, which has been looking for her, spots her immediately. They rush to extract her, but their relief is short-lived. The Rathalos, following her through the portal, also arrives on Earth. It attacks the soldiers with devastating ferocity, destroying vehicles and killing them with ease. Natalie, armed with the hunter's bow and other weapons from the other world, fights back. She uses her knowledge of the creature's weakness. When the Rathalos rears back to breathe fire, she fires an entire quiver of arrows directly into its exposed throat and chest. The creature staggers, crashes to the ground, and lies still. Natalie thinks it's over, but the Rathalos is not finished. It rises once more, mortally wounded but intent on killing her. As it prepares to strike, a familiar arrow streaks through the air and strikes its neck. Then another, and another. The hunter has come through the portal after her. He stands alongside the Admiral, who has also crossed over. Together they unleash a final volley, and the mighty dragon is finally slain. But there is no time for reunion or relief. The Admiral urgently warns them that the gateway is still open. More monsters will follow. As if to prove his point, they look up through the still raging storm. In the distance, silhouetted against the chaotic energy of the portal, they see the shapes of more massive creatures, including another, even larger dragon, beginning to move towards the breach. Knowing that if these monsters reach Earth, it will mean the end of the world, the three warriors, Natalie, the hunter, and the Admiral, share a determined look. They turn, raise their weapons, and charge together toward the storm to face the coming horde. Meanwhile, back in the monster world, we see a final mysterious scene. A feline humanoid creature, �奧𝗷𝗀𝗲, is seen bravely fighting off a small monster. And watching this struggle from a distance, hidden in shadow, is an ominous, unknown figure. Who this is remains a secret, a question left unanswered as the story concludes, setting the stage for a potential second chapter. On IMDb, the film has an average rating of 5.2 out of 10, based on over 74,000 viewer ratings. We hope you enjoyed this movie explanation. If you did, please share it with your movie lover friends and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want a recap of your favorite movie, comment the movie name below. Thank you for watching.